Hey everyone, Nathan here and welcome back. You all know that I love the Plinky. I sing its praises regularly here on the channel. But if I had one complaint about Plinky, and I do, it's the preset management system. Now, I hope my friends at Making Sound Machines don't hate me for saying this, but let's be real, it's kind of a mess. But fear not, there is good news. I know that this is an area that is being actively developed. The amazing RJ on the Plinky Discord has already completely revamped and improved the save behavior in the developer firmware, which, as far as I know, will be included in the next major update, which is hopefully coming this year. There's also a lot of work being done on improving the web editor, which should make preset management much easier. With any luck, this video will soon be obsolete. The firmware version for this video is 0.b3 or 0.b4, so if you're using a more current firmware, definitely check my channel. I will most likely post an update video with all of the changes in the new version. Until then, if you're confused and frustrated about preset management on the Plinky, you are in the right place. I'll warn you in advance, this isn't going to be one of those fun tutorials where we mangle samples or create trippy ambient presets. This is really just about the nitty-gritty of managing your presets on the Plinky. I'll talk about the normal save behavior, we'll look at loading preset packs, and also using the web editor to save, load, backup, and combine your favorite presets. I also want to thank one of my viewers, Johnny Bazakatone. Hi Johnny, for requesting this video and bumping it up my priority list. So now grab your Plinky or your Plinky Plus and let's manage our presets. To access your presets, just tap the preset pad, which is this one right here that looks like a piece of paper. This will take you into the preset menu or preset mode. The layout for this is printed on the panel up here. The first 4 columns of playable pads are your 32 preset slots. The numbering goes from top to bottom and left to right. The next 3 columns are your 24 pattern slots, and the last column contains your 8 samples. So just tap the preset you want to use. You can connect it to a pattern and also connect it to a sample. If your preset is sample-based, you just tap the slot you want to use, sample 1, you see it shows up here. Or if you don't want to use any samples, tap it again and it will be off. The samples are off by default. I'm just going to stick to preset 1 and preset 1 and pattern 1, though we won't be using any patterns today. To exit this menu, just tap the preset pad again, and you're ready to play. Let's start out with just saving a working preset, which is probably the most useful for your jam sessions. Fortunately, this part is really easy. There actually isn't much to show here because Plinky saves your presets automatically. So I've got a blank Plinky here with no installed presets. Each preset slot just has the default quad wave sound and the default settings. You can see here that I'm currently on preset 1, which is tied to pattern 1, which is of course empty. Those are the numbers here on the left of the screen. Now I'm just going to mess with some parameters to get a different sound. Let's change the wave shape, something like that, and maybe just add some noise to the sound, just so we can recognize this and that we know it's different than the default. Okay, now if I switch to preset 2, we've got the default quad wave sound, beautiful. Now I'm going to go back to preset 1, and there's our noisy sound that we already set up. You can also cycle the power, and your preset will still be there. There it is. So this automatic saving is nice. You don't have to worry about saving your work before turning off the Plinky. But it also means that once you've made some changes to your preset, there's really no going back. As I mentioned in the intro, this save behavior has been completely overhauled in the developer firmware. One of the changes that was made is that you can edit a preset, but also undo some of those changes to a certain extent. This makes it easier to experiment with a preset without being worried about messing things up. But before we get that update, there is a method you can use for risk-free experimentation with a preset, which is to copy the preset into a different preset slot. So let's say we like the preset we made, but we want to experiment with it more without losing the original settings. If you copy the preset into a new slot, then you've got two versions to work with, the original and one for experimentation. So let's copy our preset 1 into the slot for preset 2. To do this, tap the preset pad to get into the preset menu. Make sure preset 1 is selected since that's the one we want to copy. While preset 1 is selected, you're going to long press preset 2. You'll see kind of a progress bar, which gives you the chance to change your mind if you did it by accident. So if I let go before the progress bar is full, it won't be copied. Otherwise, once the progress bar is full, the preset will be copied over. So we're going to choose preset 1, long press, and there we go. You can already hear we're on preset 2 now. There's our weird noisy sample. If we go back to preset 1, we've also still got it. So now I have identical copies of the same preset in slots 1 and 2. I'll use slot 2 as my experimentation slot. So with that selected, let's add some delay with a bit of wobble to this version. So here we're going to go into the delay parameter. Let's just give it full delay and give it full delay wobble. Okay, I like this new version, and I'm confident I don't need the old version anymore, so I'd like to free up slot 1 for something else. Of course, I could just go into each parameter I tweaked and set them back to their default value, but the easier way, especially if you have a complicated patch, is just to initialize the preset, which sets all the parameters back to their default values. Again, go back into the preset menu, select the preset you want to initialize, in my case, preset 1, then long press the X pad. The Plinky will show you a progress bar, so you have a couple of seconds to change your mind if you pressed X by accident. So let's clear that slot. There we go. Yeah. Preset 1 is back to the default quad wave, and in preset 2, we have our super fancy preset that we spent so much time making. All right, now let's say you've got your Plinky full of your original presets and you want to back them up so you can make some more presets. I do this all the time, for example, when switching between my performance presets and a blank preset file for YouTube videos. Sometimes I'm testing out the developer firmware or I'm trying out a new preset pack and I want my presets to be backed up just in case. You can back up your preset file by connecting your Plinky to your computer with a USB cable and entering Tunnel of Lights mode. To enter the Tunnel of Lights, make sure your Plinky Plus is turned off, then connect it to your computer with a USB cable that's appropriate for data transfer. Once you're plugged in, press down on the encoder knob while you turn on the unit. If you're using the original 24 HP Plinky, which doesn't have an on-off button, you'll need to press the encoder knob down while plugging it in to your computer. Then you should see this lovely LED animation indicating that your portal to the Plinky universe is open and ready. On your computer, the Plinky should show up as a drive. If you click on that drive, you'll see the files on your Plinky. This is, by the way, also how you update your firmware and swap out the wavetables. You can see the current .uf2 file here, which is the firmware, but today we're talking about presets. The presets.uf2 file contains all of your presets and patterns and all the information about the current state of your Plinky with the exception of samples which have their own files. So to back up your presets, just drag and drop the presets.uf2 file onto your computer. Now, since the file is always just called presets, I'll usually put it in a folder with the date and maybe some label to indicate what I was using those presets for. If your preset uses samples, you can copy over the sample files as well. You don't really need the other files, but they're also small, so I'll usually just drag and drop everything over just to be sure. You might notice that transferring the files takes longer than expected, especially considering their small file size. I'm not sure why it works like this on the Plinky, but if you're experiencing slow file transfer, just know that it's normal. Now, you might already be wondering if it's possible to back up individual presets instead of backing up all the presets at once. It's a bit complicated, but yes, you can do that by using the web editor. I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes, but first let's stay in Tunnel of Lights mode so we can talk about loading preset packs onto your Plinky. There are currently 5 different preset packs out there made by 3 different artists, Mesca, Grain Blanc, and Dead Riot. Each one of these is really fantastic and really highlights the versatility of Plinky. We're already in Tunnel of Lights mode, so let's load one of these preset packs onto Plinky and give it a test drive. I really like Grain Blanc's first preset pack, which I've downloaded and unzipped here. You can see that it contains the presets.uf2 file and all the sample files. All you need to do to get this onto your Plinky is drag and drop the files over to the Plinky drive, but you have to do that slowly. For whatever reason, Plinky can't handle it if you drag and drop all the files at once. I usually copy over the presets file first, which usually goes fairly quickly, and then I do the sample files 2 at a time. Even though the sample files are only about 8 megabytes each, it still takes several minutes for each batch of 2 files to transfer to the Plinky. If you're comfortable using a terminal and command line on your computer, there is a Python script on the Plinky Discord which will take care of this tedious task for you. It still takes the same amount of time, but you can walk away from your computer and grab a coffee while you wait. Once everything has transferred over, just press the encoder knob again and Plinky will restart and be ready to play with the new presets. So my Plinky is now full of Grain Blanc's wonderful presets. My favorite is number 27 called Gone. I also really like number 23 for some wild and wacky ARPs. Yeah, there's a lot to explore in this preset pack to get inspired, and there are YouTube demo videos for each preset pack, which you can find under presets on the Plinky homepage. If I had one complaint about the preset packs, and I do, it's that they don't leave you any space to create your own presets. If I were to make my own preset pack, which I'm kind of sort of working on, I would create 24 original presets and leave the last 8 slots empty so that the user has some space for experimentation without having to delete any of the presets that are already on there. In fact, what if I want a few Grain Blanc presets, a few Dead Riot presets, and also some of my own custom presets in the same file? This, my friends, is where I get really frustrated with the preset management system. Once you know what you're doing, it's not really that difficult, but it is still a bit tedious. Now, before I get into mixing and matching presets from different collections, let's take a look at the web editor which we'll be using for that task. Alright, my Plinky is off screen and plugged into my computer. We're not in Tunnel of Lights mode here, just plugged into your computer. If you're using the Plinky Plus, make sure the unit is turned on. On the Plinky webpage under Presets, you'll find a link to the web editor. This won't work with every browser. You'll need to use something like Google Chrome. Once you're there, click Connect. And you should see the Plinky here as an option. So just click Connect again, and it should take you to this screen here. Now you can choose which preset you'd like to look at. My Plinky still has the Grain Blanc preset pack loaded, so let's go to 27, which was my favorite. Load that. This one is called Gone. Here you can see all the details of the preset with every parameter value and modulation mapping. Now you could edit all of these parameters here, but you can't hear the changes in real time. If you want to hear what you changed, you'll have to save the patch and then you can hear your changes. I don't think the web editor was originally intended for doing real-time sound design, more to just give an overall view of the patch and also allow you to save and load individual patches onto the Plinky. So my Plinky still has the full Grain Blanc preset pack on it, but I just want this one preset. The way to save this individually is by using the link here under Link to Patch. This link contains all the information of the preset, so let's just copy this link and save it into a document file. I also liked number 23 for ARPs, so let's save that one too. These links will open the web editor in your browser with all of the details of the preset already loaded. Actually, with this preset pack, Grain Blanc includes a handy PDF file with all the links to his presets. Okay, now I'm going to clear all the presets on my Plinky by replacing the Grain Blanc presets.uf2 file with an initialized preset file. I always keep one of these handy in my folder of backups. Otherwise, you can download it from the Plinky webpage under presets. Okay, I replaced the Grain Blanc preset file with an initialized preset file, and here I have my document with the 2 presets I liked from the pack, plus 2 of my own original presets. My Plinky is already connected to the web editor, so I'm going to copy and paste this link into Google Chrome. There we go. This is gone from Grain Blanc, and now I want to get this onto my Plinky. Oh, I've got to connect, it seems. There we go. Now, all I have to do is select the preset number I want to save this to. Here it's called patch number, and then click Save. So I'll put this right onto the first preset slot and click Save. And now this patch is on my Plinky in the first preset slot. Let's do the same for the next one. This is the ARPS. I forget what it was called. We'll copy and paste that link. It looks like you can't see that on camera, but I copy and pasted it above in the link area. Now I have this patch here called tube. It does want me to connect again, which we will do. And I want to save tube into preset slot 2, patch number 2. So let's save that. Before I do the rest and we go check them out on the Plinky, I'll show you 2 more neat things you can do in the editor. One you might have already noticed is that you can give the preset a name. Whatever you type in here will show up on the Plinky's display when you load that preset. This is a great way to keep track of your presets once they're on the Plinky. The other neat thing is this randomize these parameters button. You can choose which parameters you'd like to randomize and then just take a chance and see what kind of patch you end up with. This could be a nice source of inspiration if you're looking for a new sound and you're not sure where to start. All right, I'm going to load the rest of my patches off camera and we'll take a look at them on the Plinky. Okay, I'm back to my Plinky with my custom preset pack. You can see here in slot 1 that I have Gone, which was my favorite from the pack. In slot 2, I've got the one called Tube, which I liked for the funky ARPs. In slot 3, I have Carcere. And in slot 4, I have Fiume, which you might recognize from my transitional screens in my videos. I only filled the first 4 presets for this demo, but I think you get the idea. One thing I haven't talked about yet is sample management, and this is kind of where the whole system breaks down. If you have a preset that uses a sample, this information doesn't actually get saved in the web editor link, it's only saved in the full preset file. So you can back up the sample.uf2 files on your computer. The audio information is still in there, but not the slice points or any pitch information. You also can't just put them back onto the Plinky and expect them to work. There is a hack for doing this, but it's a bit complicated and not very practical, so I'm not going to go into that here. If you want to have backups of your sample files, I recommend keeping them as a WAV file on your computer. That way you can always re-record them into your Plinky as a new sample. In my video series all about the sampler, I talk about how I prefer preparing my samples in my DAW and recording them onto my Plinky from the audio interface instead of using a microphone and live recording. To me, this is just another reason to prefer that method. So the web editor is pretty neat, but it does have its limitations. In addition to the difficulty with samples, there's also currently no way to save any individual patterns. So any pattern connected to a preset will have to be recreated if you lose it. This is one of the reasons I always back up my preset files, especially for my performance presets. I really want the patterns and the presets all saved together in one file. I know this is easy for me to say as a non-programmer, but I imagine a web editor where I can see all of my presets and patterns and samples at a glance. I can move them around, edit them if I need to, and even mix and match different preset packs onto my Plinky using the web editor. Maybe we'll get something like that someday. When the updates to these systems come, I will definitely post a video to talk about it. Until then, I hope this helps you navigate Plinky's preset management system. There's no jam today because we didn't make a patch, but as usual, thanks for watching and happy plinking.